my name's Rachel, and today we're talking about Before I Fall by Lauren Oliver, which I did not like. I'm once again asking Monster Energy to sponsor me. This video is commissioned by my patron Andy. Andy, thank you so much for being patient. Again, I just want to tell everybody I am working through all my commissions and not turning them back on until I have finished all of them. I am backed up. Carlos leaving for 2 months threw me completely, but I am working through all of them. I will get everything done, I promise. But yeah, so this is a little late in coming. Sorry, Andy. Hello, it is I, and I have to say thank you for being a friend to my Therapy Bills patrons, and those are Allie, Amanda, Ashley, Chris, Claire, Des Roberts, Emperor's New Blues, Eric, Carly, Jack and Jill, John, Casey, Kate B, Kate W, Kelly K, Quinn, Lee, Lex, Lula, Molly, Mrs. Kittybug, Noku, Rain, SJ, Samar, Scarlett, Shiny, Sierra, Tori, and Zachary. Thank you all so much for being a friend. Alright, Before I Fall, it was a YA book that was published in I think 2012. It was very popular at the time, and a lot of people that I know at the time that they read it gave it 4 and 5 stars. They really dug it. I did not read it when it came out. I was not in a huge YA phase. I was reading a lot of C.S. Lewis and Tolkien back then. I was in my old fantasy day girl phase. Anyway, and then I got into weird Kindle Unlimited shit. So with monsters, and then I got into and then I got into Divergent and stuff, but I never read any YA contemporary at the time. And this was one of those that came out at that time that I never thought to get my hands on. If I had read it back then, I think that I would have loved it. Reading it as a 30-year-old now, I don't like it. I gave it 2 stars, and we'll talk about it. Let me give you the synopsis. By the way, yes, this is a movie with Zoe, what is her name? Anyway, yes, it's a movie. I don't know if the movie was good. I didn't watch it. For popular high school senior Samantha Kingston, February 12th, Cupid Day, should be one big party, a day of Valentine's and roses and the privileges that come with being at the top of the social pyramid, and it is until she dies in a terrible accident that night. However, she still wakes up the next morning. In fact, Sam lives the last day of her life 7 times until she realizes that by making even the slightest change, she may hold more power than she ever imagined. So this is a typical thing where it's a Groundhog Day thing, and I wish that authors would not bring up Groundhog Day in their Groundhog Day books. I know that it's Groundhog Day. You don't have to tell me that. And people who have never watched Groundhog Day are not going to know what the fuck you're talking about. Stop referencing Groundhog Day in your Groundhog Day books. Groundhog Day is an old Bill Murray movie. Old Bill Murray movie? Is it old enough for me to call it that? Where he's kind of an asshole, and then he repeats the same day over and over until he does it right, kind of like I do with my OCD tendencies. Ugh! And then finally, when he isn't an asshole and he does the day correctly, not being a dick, and he's changed, then he is able to move on to the next day. This is a pretty popular idea in fiction, which I actually read this at the same time that I was beta reading one of my beta reads, Malara, what's up, and that author was also doing a Groundhog Day type thing. Never referenced Groundhog Day, thank God, but also did it in a way that I felt was more interesting and more satisfying. Samantha has a friend group, which basically all of them are interchangeable, and I can't tell you which one is which, except maybe Laurel, who's kind of an asshole. Laurel? I read this on audio, so the names didn't set in. The thing about this book, I probably would have liked it 10 years ago, but now having read more Groundhog Day books and just more introspective books, I didn't like it. I feel like this was incredibly shallow. Everything that happened was about our main character. Samantha, I don't feel actually accomplished anything in the end. I'm not sure how she got to move on. The whole thing is that her and her friend group basically bullied this other girl, and she learns, well, I bullied her, and then she does the same day over and over until she, in the end, does die, but dies the right way. I feel like we could have done something different here and had it been a more satisfying ending. I'm not saying she couldn't die in the end. I'm just saying that she didn't actually make the day better for all of the people that she had in her vicinity, and the lingering effects of after her death are things that would concern me. And I'll explain what I think would have been a better idea. I try to approach things with if the author had asked me to beta read, here is what I would have suggested instead. The writing was fine. I understand what the author was trying to do. I just feel prose wise, it's totally fine. I don't really have any complaints, but theme wise, not strong themes going on here. In the end, I was is that it? Is that your point? She sacrificed herself for this girl that she bullied, but all the other people, okay, Sam has a boyfriend who's an asshole, who is an asshole from the jump. She kind of wants to lose her virginity to him, but really just like for the experience. I felt like he was completely unnecessary to the plot and just sort of there for like shallow. Sorry, I had to move my camera because I realized it was too high. By the way, today's makeup is Sun Summoner because we just got season 2 of Shadow and Bone, and if you would like season 2 of Shadow and Bone content, please let me know down below. I can do it. I just didn't know if anybody was interested in me still doing that, so just let me know. Oh, also, if you would like a Dry Pussy Energy shirt, thanks J.M. Marlin, please just check the link out down below for the merch. If you're not familiar with why I have a shirt on that has a vagina on it that says Dry Pussy Energy, you can see the video down below. Okay, where was I? So it just seemed really shallow to me. I don't really understand her relationship with her boyfriend. I don't know why it was there, other than just to like have drama that she and an obstacle that she has to deal with that had absolutely no substance to it. Maybe it's because I realize like this could be like my perspective issue. I'm not sure that teenagers actually deal with that kind of relationship. I don't know. That wasn't my experience in high school. I had a couple boyfriends before Carlos and that wasn't my experience, and then I ended up married to Carlos, who I dated in high school. So I just feel like that was kind of like there just to be like, hey, look, this shitty guy that I dealt with because, you know, I was wasting my time and now I have no time left. It's like, this is so stupid and a waste of my time, actually. I feel like we could have taken all those scenes out, and I would have liked to see her use that time with the stupid guy whose name I don't even remember to instead explain why she was so interested in this other guy all of a sudden now that she knows she's gonna die, and also spend more time with her family. And the thing that makes this like makes me think that Sam as this character is shallow is she does spend time with her family on the days she's repeating, but then she never takes the time to like figure out, how can I pack in enough time with everybody so that they who didn't repeat the day with me get to, you know, have these important last moments with me, because all of those important last moments were all about Sam. She's not very nice to her little sister, who I think is 9, and she takes one day of her, you know, days that she's repeating and uses it to spend it with mostly her sister and then go out to dinner with her parents. But for her parents, that never happened. That only happened for Sam because she repeated the day the next day. So like that important moment was not, so when she ends up dying in the end, that's erased. And I feel bad for all the people that she didn't think like, maybe I should try to make this perfect day, this perfect last day where I make it all about other people. She only made it about one other person, and that was enough for her to finally move on. I don't like it. Something about that is icky. It just feels really selfish to me. I also don't really get like why we only did this to Sam. It would have made more sense to me if all 4 of those girls ended up having a Groundhog Day. Whether or not they end up, you know, dead in the end, I don't know. That would be up for, you know, Lauren to decide, but my recommendation would have been maybe they all go through this and they all have to change. Because in the end, Sam pushes Juliet Sykes, who they've all bullied, out of the way of a moving van, and she gets a moving truck and she gets hit and she dies, and she's like, you saved me, Juliet, because now she gets to move on. Her friends all just watched her die. And now they're gonna be nice to Juliet? That's enough to get, like, that's enough to balance the scales? I don't get it. I don't understand. Like, that doesn't really make sense to me. Like, it would have made, like, they're not gonna suddenly be nice to Juliet now. They're all still dicks. They did not go through any process of change. They just watched their best friend die. So you just inflicted trauma on them. For what? Juliet's probably still gonna get bullied by them. What was achieved? She also starts to, like, magically fall for this dude Kent, who is a very odd character, the way that he's written. It's like he's supposed to be so hot, but he's also so quirky, so Sam could never be interested in him. But then she's like, oh, I'm dying, and this guy was nice to me, even though he's been nice to me since we were kids, but now I feel like being nice to him. Now I'm interested in him, and even though I know that I'm gonna die, I'm gonna strike up something with him. That's really selfish. And then he, just like her friends, watched her die. If I were the one balancing the scales, I'd be like, ma'am, you gotta go back and do that all over again. You just inflicted a lot of trauma. Your crush and all of your friends just watched you die. Now you gotta go back and do it again, because they're gonna have lifelong issues watching you get hit by a truck and die. You're gonna have to repeat. And I get that, like, she wrote Kent in a way that was trying to make him like, oh, he's quirky and cute, so I like him, and I don't like her boyfriend who smokes cigarettes cigarettes and is annoying. And it's like, I don't understand. What does Kent like about Sam? She's a dick to everybody. I don't get it. He was just there and like it was a very convenient man. Like there was no thought taken into actually creating a real person. He was just a very convenient character there so that Sam could have a nice kiss with a nice boy and then die and inflict a bunch of trauma on him. So Sam dies the first time, has a few days where she's like, oh, I'm so frustrated that I have to repeat everything and I'm gonna do bad things. And then she starts to get nicer. She realizes that her friend group and her have bullied Juliet to the point where Juliet is going to kill herself. And then she realizes that what she has to do is prevent Juliet from killing herself, and then she can die and move on. I don't like it. Again, what I think would have been better is that all of the friend group learn a lesson about bullying. If we're gonna have a conversation about bullying, then sure. But instead, there was like, Lauren really tried to make this like so introspective, but I don't think she has the capability to do that because this came off so shallow. Again, Sam is still super self-absorbed, having these family moments that only she'll remember and then not working them into her last day, making Kent like, it feels a little, it's weird to be like, oh, I'm gonna, have these experiences with this guy and then he's gonna watch me die. It's like, I don't like that. I would have just tried again until I did. Like, wouldn't it make sense if we're saying that like she did bad things so now she has to do a good thing to move on? Wouldn't it make sense that she has to pack in the most amount of good all into one day and do right by everybody in order to move on? And further, wouldn't it make sense that all of them in that friend group who were bullying people and being a dick would have to do that? If that's the theme we were going for, then like why didn't we go that direction? Prose wise, this is fine except for one thing. She tries to make this emotionally hard hitting by using randomly Sam talking in Sam talking to the authors, Sam talking to the reader, so it switches to second person and I'm like, bitch, don't talk to me. You're so selfish. I don't want to hear it. So it says, but before you start pointing fingers, let me ask you, is what I did really so bad? So bad I deserve to die? So bad I deserve to die like that? Is what I did really so much worse than what anyone else does? Is it really so much worse than what you do? Think about it. I thought about it and yeah, and what I'm getting is the setup for this is stupid, not, wow, I really need to be introspective. And that's what she was going for, and it's not hitting for me. It also says, I'm not scared if that's what you're thinking. This is right at the end when she dies. I'm not scared if that's what you're thinking. The moment of death is full of sound and warmth and light. So much light, it fills me up, absorbs me, a tunnel of light shooting away, arcing up and up and up. And if singing were a feeling, it would be this light, this lifting, like laughing. And I'm like, I'm actually not wondering if you're scared. That's the thing is, you're talking to me, you're asking me? No, I wasn't wondering if you're scared. I was wondering why this was enough to get you to move on. And it wasn't just the friend group, it was the whole school that really treated Juliet Sykes, this character who was bullied, like shit. So like, what lesson is everybody learning here by just Sam dying instead of Juliet dying? I'm pretty sure that the whole school is just going to be like, that's really annoying, we'd rather Juliet be dead. They're not gonna learn any lesson. It just got really convoluted at the end. So the question I'm wondering at the end is not, oh, I wonder how Death feels, I wonder if she's okay. The question I'm wondering is, that was it? That was the point? That was how you get to move on? Huh? It's just, again, super convoluted. I also feel like it was way too fast for it to be believable that Sam had this like magical change in heart. It did not land well for me. It just seemed so quick and we spent so much time on stuff that just did not, again, we could have taken out a lot. Like we could have taken out a lot of like her with the boyfriend, her trying to hook up with her teacher only to realize that she found him disgusting because he was older. It's just a lot of this like could have been taken out and we actually could have had more of like an introspective and hard-hitting novel, but we didn't. Also, I don't know why this book was so like adamant about, like, it's not like all the shit she said at the beginning, like all the fat phobia and the lesbophobia was like resolved by the end. Like at the end she was still kind of a dick. Like all she did was like, oh, I bullied this girl and now I'm going to take her place and die. Okay, well, all right. We also never really had like a come to Jesus moment for her friends who were so shitty, not only to each other but to other people. So like, what was the point of them? Again, we could have had a better time if this was sort of like all four of them had to repeat, and either we get like, you know, they don't tell each other that they're all repeating the same day, and we see them like feel like they're dealing with this alone, or, you know, they all have to figure out as a group like, how do we do the most good in order to move on, whether that be dying or not dying. Like, there were opportunities here to like fix the issues, and I really wish Lauren would have taken the opportunities instead of having this like really shallow book. Again though, that's my perspective as a 30-year-old reading it. As a 20-year-old I might have liked it, as a 15-year-old I might have liked it, but yeah, as a 30-year-old I just find this incredibly shallow, and there are better books out there that are able to have those very introspective moments that are targeted towards like the actual readership of the age group of YA that, you know, actually will, I think, make an impact. This one, I don't like it. I don't like it. That's it. That's all I have to say about Before I Fall by Lauren Oliver. Thank you so much, Andy, again for commissioning. Oh, speaking of thank yous, I have to do one. I have to say thank you to Sarah Harding, who sent me 5 books, and I'm so excited. First is Within These Wicked Walls by Lauren Blackwood, which is like a gothic thriller about a woman named Andromeda who goes and she has to clean the right word? It is used in the cleanse households of the evil eye, and she gets hired by this guy. It's a retelling of, what is that story? I'm really excited about this. I normally don't care about blurbs, but one of my favorite books is Raybear by Jordan Ifueko, and Jordan Ifueko blurbed this, and that's like one of maybe 2 people, her and Elizabeth Acevedo, whose blurbs I would actually listen to. So I'm very excited about this. Next one she sent is Body of Stars by Laura Maylene Walter, and this is about, if I remember correctly, this is a like YA girl power book, but it's about like women are born with a set of like freckles and birthmarks and markings that foretell their future and like the future of people in their vicinity. And her brother is also like a great interpreter, but then she finds out a secret about her brother, and it's sending her on this journey of like dealing with the misogyny of the like, what would you even call this? Like it's not magic, but like the series of, you know, supernatural-ish fortune telling type stuff. So it sounds really good. I'm hoping it's like, you know, deep dives into misogyny, but also like the magic part of it sounds really interesting. Speaking of somebody who deep dives into misogyny, the next one was Antelope Woman by Louise Erdrich, and Louise Erdrich is a master storyteller. Louise Erdrich is a Indigenous woman who wrote one of my favorite books, which is Future Home of the Living God, which I always tell people, fuck Handmaid's Tale, like read Louise Erdrich's book instead. She also has another one I read. What was the name of that? Where it's like an abusive husband. Oh my gosh, it was so good. I was on the edge of my seat. Anyway, she's an incredible writer, and I've read two of her books, and I put Antelope Woman on because I want the next book I read from her to be annotated. Anything that's on my wish list is books I want to annotate. I don't want to go in knowing too much about this, but I do know from like people who have talked about it that it is about a man who abducts an Indigenous woman, and that's all I want to know. I have not watched any reviews because I don't want to go into Louise Erdrich's books knowing anything anymore, because I want to be surprised, because it's just that much more rich when I don't read the synopsis of her books. The next one is also written by an Indigenous author about Indigenous women, and the thing about this one is I want to leave a link below to my friend Michelle Thor from Thor Wants Another Letter has a great video on this that I will leave down below, but trigger warning for violence against women, like real life, not just fiction, particularly violence against Indigenous women. So this is a book about a woman whose sister is missing. She goes missing from a pub. They are both Indigenous women. She files a police report and nothing is done. She basically just gets shrugged off, and so she realizes that this is an ongoing issue for so many families in the Indigenous community, in Native communities, and she ends up taking justice into her own hands. It's very short, but I expect it to be very impactful, and I did want to annotate it, and I expect I'm gonna cry, so pain. The last one was Girls Made of Flesh and Metal, and it's about a girl named Lena whose parents own this company called Cybercorp that she is very iffy about. She ends up getting a cybernetic arm, and its cyber intelligence starts to sort of like do things when she's not telling it to. A bunch of murders happen, and because her cybernetic arm is causing her to sleepwalk and wake up and not know where she was, she's not sure if she committed the murders or not. This sounds so good, and I love books about girls and women with cybernetic arms. Another one of them is Gearbreakers by Zoe Hanamakuta, which I talk about all the time. So I'm really excited about this. So thank you so much to Sarah. I super appreciate you. I'm so excited to get into those. Those sound so good. Oh man, I really don't talk enough about Louise Erdrich. I don't talk enough about, I don't know how to review Indigenous lit very well. I tend to just try to like defer to Indigenous reviewers, but some of my favorite books that I have read since I started BookTube have been by Indigenous authors. So Firekeeper's Daughter, which I did get approved for an arc of her new book, and I'm so excited. One of my favorite series of all time that I simply don't know how to review because all I can do is go ah, because it's so good, is The Marrow Thieves by Sherry Dimeline. It's incredible. The most emotionally impactful thing the year that I read it, and I read it and its sequel back to back because the sequel was coming out, and I was like, I'm gonna preemptively read The Marrow Thieves, and then I read the sequel, and oh my god, so good. I would, if she writes 10 books in that series, I will eat up every single one of them. And then again, Louise Erdrich's book, I think our books are just incredible. The two that I've read, I've so enjoyed. So I don't talk enough about Indigenous lit on here. I try to, and I'll link some of my favorite reviewers down below. Kim, if you're watching this, come back. We miss you. And Thor from Thor Wants Another Letter. I try to defer to their reviews. Kim has a really great review of The Only Good Indians, by the way, both spoiler and non-spoiler. And I don't really review it enough, and I need to, because those are I have read, some of my favorite books have been by Indigenous authors. And let me know what you thought of Before I Fall down below, and thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye. Before I go, I have to say thank you for being a friend to my potato starch Marxists, and those are AM Angel, Aiden, Alexander, Alicia, Amanda, Amanda B, Andy, Angelica, Anita, Artie the Ninth, Ava, BB, Blythe, Ray, Brenda, Caitlin, Carlin, Catherine, Kathy, Celia, Cheyenne, Chris, CJ, Corwin, Corey, Darren, Deandra, Deborah, Diet God, Dorian, Douglas, Ebby, Eden, Elise, Elia, Ember, Emily, Ava, Faith, Grace, Gracie, Hannah C, Hannah T, Horror Goose, Hora, oh boy, Horror Goose, Ilianaga, India Inks, JM, JT, Jen with 2 N's, Jenny, Jillian, Jules, Kaylee, Catherine, Katya, Keely, Kelsey, Kylie, Laura, Lauren B, Library Scars, Liz Cardigan, Luna Moth, Lustful Octopus, Martin, Maddie, Marcella, Marquita, Malara, Mary, Miriam, Moog, Morgan R, Moth, MXDS, James, Nat, Never, Nicole R, Nicole T, Nikki, Nyan Binary, Paige E, Paige P, Peggy Lou, Pixel Stars, Pure Raytheon, Pocket, Quill, Rachel B, Rachel S, Rat Sarah, Reba, Rebecca, Ren, Robin, Rowan, Samantha, Sarah, Scarlett, Shanae, Shannon, Shayna, Sheena K, Sean, Stephanie, Steven, Talia, 3 Old Dogs, Tiana, Sev, Valentine, Writer A, and Yesenia. Thank you all so much for being a friend.